We good? We good.
We're live.
We are live. You can see the monitor. It is actually now a decoration.
Yay.
Some would say a centerpiece.
On the right side.
Our left, though.
Yeah, but everybody looking at it is going to see it on
we're
their
the ones
right
giving
side.
advice, so we need to be right.
Boo.
Oh, wait, then it needs to be on our right side if we need to be right. Anyway, hello, welcome to the Odd Unicorn Podcast. I'm Silas, your host. This is Andrew, co-host. And we are talking about civilized discussions.
Yeah.
That's an interesting topic. Oh, what? Changing stuff.
I was just thinking I might need to be a little closer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Civilized discussions. First, how's the week been?
It's been really good. Work has been really good, actually. It's been nice. Just nice and slow for me.
For you.
Yeah, for me. So it's been great.
Yeah, and then here I am down the line, just not catching a break. Like, I don't think I had time to drink water today.
Mm-hmm.
Except for at the end. At the end we got, and, well, I mean, when Anila pulls, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah. That's always nice. I like pulling with Anila.
Yeah.
Because I just stand there and don't do anything. And then he says, why don't you go help them? I'm like, okay.
But, so yeah. Yeah, it's been fun. I actually, on Saturday, I posted about this on Instagram for those of you who follow me, which actually is a lot of people.
Except me.
How dare you?
I don't have Instagram, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, then I guess you're excused for not following me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually, on Saturday, I went to Appleton for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Took the minivan because Beth was using the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was a V6 minivan, so I was able to pass some hotshot college-age kids in their little beater. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, other than that, week is a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to New London on Saturday for family get-together.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That sounds fun. You didn't really sell it very well, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was fun.
All right. Well, I guess
I'm not here to sell things.
we'll move on then.
Let's move on.
Conversations.
Yes.
Specifically civilized ones, because, well, not all conversations are civilized.
No.
A lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
And it's
a common issue, I would say.
Yeah.
It's easily hard to have a civilized conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. It's too easy to just go with the emotion, and especially when you're talking to somebody you don't like, getting ticked off at them and just exploding in their face. That's
so easy.
Way too easy, especially with having our different social media sites nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Those just, if anything, they just help the uncivilized conversations.
Mm-hmm. Well, they made it so much worse because you basically don't have repercussions.
Yeah, because it's not face to face.
If you yell at someone, call them an idiot, and chew them out with no facts, they don't have the ability to punch you in the face.
Yeah. So that's just made things worse, because then when they are face to face and they do have the ability to punch you in the face, and they do, then it gets worse. So
yeah,
we're here to tell you how to not get punched in the face.
I like that. I like trying to learn how to not get punched in the face.
That's good.
So let's do that. Well, the first thing is, don't do stuff just for a negative reaction.
Mm-hmm. When you're the one initiating the conversation, don't be a jerk just to get their reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird because you could probably stick on that point for a while. And there's be a lot of guys that would be like, but.
But that's how I live my life.
Me, sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but it would just feel so good.
So I don't really care. I just like the reaction. I know that feeling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love being a showman. I love getting reactions. Negative reactions are really easy to get out of people.
They are, yes.
Out of most people, I should say.
Very fun at times as well.
They are. And to an extent, of course, we're not saying that teasing is wrong. Yeah. We're okay with teasing. To an extent, of course.
To an extent. Here's what my mom always said. If they're not laughing, it's no longer teasing, now you're just being a jerk.
Yep.
That's what my mom always told me.
That's good advice because because the difference between being a jokester and being a bully is your intentions.
I will say sometimes you do tease with the intention of just having a good time, not actually trying to be a pain in the rear, but they aren't taking it quite right. Maybe something's going on with their day, or just they don't take it, and then
basically I've learned this great lesson. It's my method, and I will teach it to you guys just this once. It is Silas's personal method to have good conversation, and when that comes, when someone stops laughing, it's a little complicated. It'll take a while to learn. It's shut up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's about the long and short of it. It's like,
or the short of it.
The short of it. Because I mean, there was even a situation recently. I don't know if you'll even remember what I'm saying, but you were there, where there was a practical joke pulled, which in other circumstances would have been hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly, there's no harm meant at all.
And technically, really no harm done. Completely done. Yes.
No. And it really was. It was a harmless prank from a friend, but it just came at a bad time.
A very bad time.
It came at a very bad time, and our particular friend, of which this prank was pulled, was not having it.
Yeah, they had a really bad day up to that point, and then that, which even they said it would have been fine, except I had a horrible day, and then a prank was pulled, and
So and you know what the guy who pulled the prank did? He didn't defend himself. He didn't go, well, you should just... No, he just stopped, did what he could to help, and yeah, that's really... There's sometimes where that's what you do, because you can't ever predict people's emotions. And people love to have fun. And so you can't just go, well, I'm just never going to do anything because I'm scared of how someone's going to react. But you also know that, hey, if they're not laughing, stop.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, I think really, or yes, I agree with all that. And another kind of a main thought along the lines of having a civilized discussion, or how to have a civilized discussion, is really along the idea of talking with somebody that you don't like, or talking with somebody that in general you have a hard time talking with.
Yeah.
For maybe you don't necessarily dislike the person, but you just don't agree with them, or anything like that. Well, I think
exactly that's the crux of it, because there's stuff like, just in general being kind, being cognizant of people's emotions, but when it really gets hard is when either I in my mind nailed it down to two situations where you really have to work to have a civilized discussion, because everything else is just, you get it. It's like, okay, they're not happy, just stop. If it's inappropriate in that situation, don't do it.
Yeah.
All that's very simple. But there's 2 times where it's like, okay, what do I do now? Is one, like you said, if you don't like them.
Yeah.
If someone that you either just rubs you the wrong way, you don't get along with, or in general is just not an easy person to get along with. Because there's some people that just in general are not fun to try to get along with. Then the second one, which is people you disagree with. Well, when you're actively having a disagreement with them, when you're actively disagreeing with them, they say something and you're like, I cannot tell you how wrong that is. That is, if I could explain it to you in simple terms, I would, but I don't speak stupid. It's like,
that's one thing not to say.
yeah, no, don't say that. That was me playing as the person who doesn't know how to do a civilized conversation. Don't say that. That was meant for comedy.
Yes.
Little comedic jab there. So, what do you do in those situations? I feel like probably easiest to tackle disagreements first. Because that one's really hard to perform. But once you can get a few rules, a few boundaries, a few barriers in place, you can start being able to more civilly disagree with people.
I'd say kind of the base, the real foundation to having a civilized discussion with somebody you don't agree with is to try to do your best to come at it with an open mind, to not be completely biased to your own opinion right off the bat.
Yeah.
You're having whatever this discussion is because you and that person are going back and forth about something, and you agree one side, they agree the other. So obviously you're going to want to still stand up for your side or whatever, but coming at a discussion like that with the open mind of, I agree to my side, I think my side is right, my agreement, my side of this discussion, but I want to hear what they have to say.
And also, the thought, here's the biggest thought, and the one I find because I love disagreeing with people, and I love arguing, and I know other people that also do. And when we both get together and agree to disagree on something, I could go for hours telling them how wrong they are. But that's the problem with disagreements. If you're going to have a discussion with someone, what you're trying to do is find the truth. Now, if you look in the Bible, you say, all right, this is where I know they're wrong, or something is actively harming them, that's one thing. But if you guys just have a difference of opinion, you have to say, what if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
You have to be looking at every reason you might be wrong and taking everything, because a lot of times when you're in a discussion, you're first and foremost, you hear what they say and you think, what do I know that disproves what they said? Or at least comes close to invalidating it. It's like,
that's the first thought.
But no, you're wrong because, yeah, that's not going to do much for you. You want to come from the perspective of, I've never heard that before. Explain. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you believe what you believe?
Yeah, getting to the reason of why they believe their side.
Yep.
That'll help you understand where they're coming from. So maybe your side is right. Maybe your opinion is correct, and and you have very specific, very detailed, here's the proofs of why. but trying to understand where they're coming at it and why they're coming from their side can maybe help you come back around and convince them towards, seeing, okay, well, here's what's actually right and here's why. But trying to just, a big thing is staying calm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first thing. Is if you're wanting to have a disagreement with someone, first of all, count the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it's not worth it, just be like, all right, I know you believe that, and that's cool. I don't, but you do you. So if it doesn't really matter, you can just walk away.
Yes. Yeah.
If it does, or either one of the two things. If it does matter, or you two have agreed to have a civil discussion, just because you want to know more about whatever you're arguing about. And that's the thing. It's either it matters a lot and you need to know, or you two are just interested and you want to know. It's all about knowing. None of it is about proving a point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're proving a point, it's for pride.
Yep. And that's where Proverbs comes in with pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. It's when it gets to an issue of pride, then it's just it's just gonna all crumble downhill. You might as well not even continue saying anything at that point.
Exactly.
Going back to the long and short of shut up.
Yup. And so, with that being said, it's like you need to, so you count the cost, whether it's worth it, and when you are in a discussion like that, you keep calm, and you try to understand the other side, because you'll never, like, there's things I believed that some of them I stopped believing after having discussions with other people and cross-checking it with what I already knew, cross-checking it with the Bible, with what the truth was. And I was like, oh, no, what I'm thinking doesn't make any sense. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And then there was other times where I believed something, and then they challenged their disagreement, challenged me to go, okay, what do I actually think about this? And I said, okay, so I'm not quite right in this area, but now I have more evidence for this, and I know what I believe.
So realizing that maybe your viewpoint, the full extent of your viewpoint, could maybe come back a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you're not fully right. Maybe there's a few things that, I can come back on these few things.
Yeah.
Kind of a bit of a compromise.
Yeah.
If there's room to compromise.
If there's room to compromise. And so, if you're going to have a discussion, it's to learn, it's to know, it's to understand other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're not doing it for that, then the best way to have a civilized argument is to not.
Yes, yeah.
If that's not your plan, then it's not worth it, and you're just doing it for pride. And so, but then, with those boundaries and those rules, staying calm, trying to get to know the other person's side, being willing to change, it really, if you actually put those into practice, and knowing if it gets too heated, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
If it's getting to the point where it's a screaming match, I guarantee you, I have been in many arguments, and I've found this out. If you guys get to the point of raising voices or getting emotional, either of those, if it turns into you guys raising your voices, yelling at each other, or getting emotional and getting personal, your conversation is done. I've never seen any good come past that.
I will say there's a bit of a difference in there.
Okay.
Because for us guys, we are either logic or emotion. No matter how your brain works, you're either logic or emotion. Now, for some, your logic and emotion may be more connected. For some, it's maybe more disconnected.
That's true.
Yeah, so for us, we're either all emotion or all logic. So I said that too many times already. So if we're getting emotional, it's time to shut down. Time to take a step back and be like, okay,
I guess
cool
you're right.
off
Yeah.
and think about this for a minute. But
Some people that use both.
For ladies, their logic and emotion are connected. That's how their brains work, and they're used to working with that. That's how they work. So sometimes for us guys talking to a lady, it can seem like we could, from our viewpoint, it's like, stop getting so emotional, and they're like, I'm not, when it's kind of obvious that they are. But that's just their emotions are connected to everything.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Because if you see two ladies talking back and forth, they're not getting at each other about their emotions, because it's just their emotions are connected to everything.
Yeah. So I guess it varies from person to person. I guess you're absolutely right. A better way of saying it would be, if your emotions are controlling you.
Yes, yeah.
If you're being controlled by emotions, which is why you and really as a blanket statement. So I guess the raising your voice depends on who you are. Getting emotional depends on who you are.
I know some people who raising their voice is literally nothing more than them just getting into what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're not upset. They're not mad at you. They're very, very
Animated.
Animated. They're very into what they're saying, and so their voice just gets louder, because that's how they work.
Yeah.
And so you have to remember to take in all these different things while you're talking to somebody, and not to react to something
that you assume they're doing.
That you assume is that.
Oh, and don't assume. That's just in general. If it's two people that think opposite, because that's why you're arguing, then assuming will not work.
Yeah, and just try to be careful not to react to something that is not intended to be against you. Not intended to be something that's.
It's not meant to hurt you. It's not meant to, as a spite to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if we're to encapsulate that, then in one phrase, it's, if you're being controlled by emotion, then time to end the discussion, or recompose yourself if you really need to continue.
Yeah.
So if you were to take those rules and apply them to your disagreements, for the most part, there's always outliers, but for the most part, you would have a pretty productive disagreement. You'd have a pretty productive discussion. And so, I love this. So, Michelle Navis, that is his mother, says,
"Hi, Mom."
Always look for the truth in the discussion, not what feels like. What it feels like in what's being said.
Yeah.
That's true. That is so true. You really need to look past superficial things, logic. I mean, look past speculation and emotion.
Look deeper rather than just at the surface.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of this can actually be, a lot of that, or actually, let's go back to what you're saying. You're saying take all that rather than outline discussions.
Wrap it in a bow. It's once you take those rules. Well, I was gonna transfer. Go to the next part. So were you?
I was just gonna say, it kind of seemed like you're leading to saying, if you take all that again.
Yeah.
Being cautious of there's different conditions that may affect the situation, but take all that, you'll have better discussions.
Yeah.
Rather than having an argument, you can maybe have a friendly debate
Yeah.
about whatever
Absolutely.
the topic is.
So be aware of others' emotions, but don't let yourself get controlled by emotions. That's a huge takeaway from that. If you do that, you can have a productive disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the more difficult topic is, I do not appreciate this person. I don't like them. If there was a chair by them, I would sit on the floor. One of those types of people. Okay? How do you have a civilized discussion with those types of people? Because that I would deem more difficult.
I would agree. I'd have to say that one of the biggest things in discussions with those type of people that you just personally don't like.
Yep.
The biggest thing, in my opinion, is to avoid hot topics, really.
Yeah.
Because you already don't like this person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so getting into a conversation about something that you disagree with them about already factored on top of the fact that you don't really like them in the first place. It's now you're having an uncivilized discussion
because if you can't get past your personal issues with someone, there's no way you could because like you said, like I just said, if it's getting too personal, if you start getting personal with things in any argument, then you need to cut it off. If you get too emotional, you need to cut it off. And so the biggest problem with people like that is you're already personal and you're already emotional the second you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so how do you deal with that and continue to talk to them? How do you deal with that and be able to at least tolerate? Because that's a starting ground. A lot of people, they go from, I hate this person, to being like, now I have to be their friend. I have to be their best friend. Well, no, there's space in between there to slowly build the relationship back up.
Yeah, you don't have to take somebody that you don't like and end up being their best friend or them being your best friend. There's you've talked about it before with somebody else about there's different levels of friendship.
Oh yeah.
And
the one with Quentin choosing friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's different levels of friendship. You don't have to try to mend your friendship with them. Now, I will say there is also the possibility of somebody you don't like, but they're fine with you. There is that possibility.
That one's honestly harder.
Yes. Yeah, because if it's somebody that you don't like and they don't like you, that's not too bad. It's mutual irritation.
Mutual irritation, and I've learned.
And honestly, at that point, you're probably just gonna both be avoiding each other anyway.
Yeah, but I've learned. I have learned though, there is a time where you have to go. Okay, we need to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason is, yes, you could go on with that, but as Christians, we're supposed to love the brotherhood, right? Like I had someone who at first I was friends with, then I hated their guts. This happened recently. You're probably thinking of a few people, but I had to learn how to just have a civilized, casual conversation. Someone I like to argue with, but I don't argue with her because it won't help anything.
Yeah.
It won't be productive. We won't get stuff done. We're just going to argue. And so I learned, okay, why not just casually say hi, casually ask her what she's doing, just random stuff. And now we're casual friends.
Mm-hmm. If one thing to, I guess, keep in mind with that is when, if you are going to initiate a conversation with that person, if you ask something like, "Hey, how's it going?" Be genuinely interested.
Yes.
Don't focus on how much you don't like this person. Focus on the question you just asked. Like, I wonder how it's actually going for that person. Or, what have you been up to? Stuff like that. Try to focus more on what is being said rather than your personal opinion of that person.
Yeah.
Then, that's something that in of itself will really help conversations with people that you don't like. Um,
Yeah. That's true. Because you already don't like them, so you can't just pretend you do. It doesn't work.
Mm.
That's how we got the sarcastic comedy aura. Oh no, I like him. He's my friend. Yeah, right.
And you don't want to learn how to be a pretender.
Yeah, you do not want to be a good liar.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to learn.
No, not at all. So you want to be able to well, and the other thing is, a lot of times you want to mend a friendship.
Mm.
If a friendship has been broken, that's not just whatever.
Yes, especially if it was a friendship before.
Absolutely, and that's a huge thing. It's like, I don't think it's a good idea to ever be on bad terms with people.
Mm.
I honestly don't. I think that now, don't bend over backwards for someone who just wants to be annoying.
Yeah.
And just who always has a chip on their shoulder. But if there is someone you genuinely hurt, or that genuinely have had disagreements that have left each other salty, even if it's not, because hurt is a pretty strong word.
Mm-hmm.
The way we've used it has a lot of power behind it. But even if it's not specifically that you hurt them, maybe you guys are just salty, you want to at least be civilized with that person. And so, with people like that, you have to learn, like you said, if you're going to talk to them, be genuinely interested in what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to start. You find something that both of you are interested in, a thing. So it's not about you and them. It's not about me and you. It's about this thing.
Yeah.
And if we can both agree that this thing is worth talking about, boom, common ground.
Yeah, the weather.
The weather.
Obviously, it's such a generic topic of conversation, but
it's a start.
It's a start. It's something you can talk about that most people aren't going to get offended about.
Yeah, just make sure you're not friends with let's see here, flat earther, green earther, global warming. There's a few more, but environmentalist. Friends with any of those people, then
the weather's
don't
not
be.
The best topic.
I mean, yes, weather's not the best topic. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now we allow and pray for liberals here.
But yeah.
Did our viewership cut in half from that joke? No. Oh, phew. Still at 0. Yes. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I
had a thought, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I decided to do a cutaway gag.
Yeah, because it was something I was thinking about earlier.
We were talking about people you don't agree with and having
Mhm.
civilized discussions and
Talking with people you don't like.
yeah.
It really is, honestly, just the main crux of the matter is to focus on what's being said, rather than what you
Yes.
think of the person, because then it comes back into what was being said about originally, about letting your emotions run what you say, what you're doing, and in both situations, that's not a good thing. Especially if it's especially somebody who you don't like them for whatever reason, but they don't like you.
So that I would say that's a whole different animal.
That situation, I think, now that I think about it, I think that's a situation where maybe it's time to go up to that person and be like, "Hey, I have this problem with you, and here's why." And maybe it's time to get that conversation going on mending it, because honestly, if you don't like them and they don't know it,
That's bitterness.
that's really just bitterness. There's no reason.
Yeah, there's no reason for it.
Yeah, if it's out in the open and it's a mutual thing, obviously it's still something you should be working through.
But it's something that you're both aware, and you can both each take a step towards it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cooperative. But if the other person is not involved, then honestly, as harsh as it is, that's a you problem.
Yeah, it definitely
right? So
is.
you
Yes.
need to absolutely be the first person, because that's I would say close enough to a different situation that you need a whole different set of rules for that.
Yeah, that's going. And honestly, the first thing you need to do, no matter the reason that you don't like them, the first thing you need to do is go up and apologize and just be like,
Oh yeah.
"Hey, I don't like you, and you didn't know it. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
And here's why I don't like you. So maybe we could talk about this."
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, that's a whole thing. Is like, for instance, they could have hurt you and not even known.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened to me, where someone said something that and it caused problems. They didn't know it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I held a grudge against them. And finally, I had to talk to them about actually something unrelated but similar. And I was like, hey, I was a little hesitant to talk to you because you said this a while back, and I was kind of hurt, and it kind of caused some problems. And they're like, oh. And I said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm sorry for being upset at you. I know you meant nothing by it. And they were like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't ever mean to say stuff to offend people. Sometimes I just say it like it is, and it's a little too brash,
Yeah.
And,
I know one thing that people might be thinking or might think when hearing that is like, well, I don't like them because they offended me or because of that situation, but and then we're here saying, well, maybe they don't know, and that person may be saying, oh, well, they've been avoiding me lately, and so I think they know. They must know.
I've heard this one before.
The thing is, most people, maybe they don't realize that they've done something and you don't like them for that.
What they do realize.
They do realize that you don't like them for some reason.
Yes.
And you're not talking to them about it. And so they're uncomfortable, so they're going to kind of avoid you.
Yeah, well, when you're uncomfortable around someone, okay, for those of you who still are like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Picture this, okay? your crush. All right? You just got this crush on this girl.
For guys.
For guys. Yes.
Anyway, keep going.
And then, or a girl, you just got a crush on this guy, and they're good looking, they have great personality, and they seem like just, would you feel comfortable talking to them? No! You would be like, what if they know? Okay. Now flip that from all positive feelings and nervousness to all negative feelings and nervousness. Instead of do they like me, it's do they hate me. All right? So if the person you don't like is avoiding you, they could be like, okay, I don't know what's going on with this person. I'm uncomfortable around them. And so, again, that is not their fault that you're upset with them. You can't say, well, I think they know, so it doesn't matter.
Now, with situations where it is a mutual dislike, having the civilized conversations, focusing on the conversation rather than your dislike of that person is the best thing to do when talking to them. But any opportunity that you're able to, you really do need to go to that person and be like, hey, we are having issues because of whatever it is.
Yeah, if there, and that is something I should have specified, is if there is a specific reason, there's a specific reason that you two don't like each other, then you need to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a prior disagreement that blew up and blew over, and now you guys just don't like each other, or if it's just personality disagreements, then that often doesn't necessarily need to be said, and you just need to work through it.
Yeah.
But you're right. If there is something between you two that you can't be friendly to each other, where every time you want to be, there's this thing, say it's something they said and haven't addressed yet. They just said it and they didn't apologize for it or anything, or something you said, something that happened that really left a bad taste in your mouth or bad taste in their mouth. Yes, that's the other thing for having a civilized conversation and to bringing you two back to being civilized is you need to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You need to deal with that. And there is one other that it won't take very long.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I brought it up at the end. So we got, first of all, if you're actively having a discussion, don't make it personal. Try to get to know someone.
Don't let it become an argument.
And make it, try to find the truth and not what feels like is happening. If you don't like someone and they don't like you, address any problems you have with them, and then just focus on building this camaraderie, building your rapport up back with each other. And then if you don't like someone and they have no clue because you feel wronged by them, well, then you need to apologize for how you are acting because they have noticed, and maybe that's why they're avoiding you.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to talk about it. And then, same thing for someone that you both don't like each other, is you need to build back up that rapport and that reputation. The last one is one that I've had to deal with a lot, and that basically anyone has had to deal with it, which is dealing with needy people. One, you don't really have a specific problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
you two don't hate each other, and you don't have a specific disagreement, and there's no real rapport because they think the world of you, most likely, depending who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do? Where's the line between drawing boundaries and cutting them out of your life? Which, that's not right. You know, how do you deal with that situation? Because it's a little different than any of the other three we're talking about.
So, needy people, needy in what way?
So needy,
Like,
it's kind of a blanket statement that refers to people who, like, say they hang around a bunch of people and they want, either attention or validation from people. It's really characterized a lot of times in personality or insecurity. Like, have you watched any Blimey Cow? Oh my god, we need to get him to watch some, because anyone that's watched Blimey Cow, which the people watching, maybe none of you have, but Big Head Kid, I don't know if you've even have you seen a clip with Big Head Kid in it?
I don't know.
He's a kid. He got glasses and he has this uniform with all his homeschool pins on it, and he's like this, and he got his wig, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be my friend? We can go hang out." He's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm kind of busy. We can hang out tomorrow." And like, he's following him around everywhere and all that stuff. And there's people like that where they haven't grown up yet, or they haven't gotten comfortable with what they're doing or where they are in life, and they want validation from everyone and attention from everyone. How do you deal with that?
The first thing is be patient.
I would say that's the biggest thing.
That's the first and biggest thing is you gotta be patient.
You just gotta be patient, long suffering. You gotta be like, all right, here, I will do this thing with you, and every once in a while, just do it.
Yeah. It's the way you're coming at it. It sounds like it's maybe somebody that's annoying.
Oh yeah.
And
usually they would be annoying.
Yeah. So it's easy in those situations to say no all the time, like no, go away, blah blah, etc.
Yep.
So one thing, be patient with them, but take the time to actually spend time with them every now and then.
Oh yeah.
Don't just say yes to every time they want to hang out for everything. But taking the time to be like, okay, I do actually have some time in my schedule here. We can hang out for a little while, and do something with them, whatever it is.
Because and the thing is, a lot of times those people, it's that they're just desperate for connection.
Yeah.
When you actually peel back the surface, because I used to get annoyed to death by people like that. I was like, just get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know. But when I started actually being like, hey, okay, let's do this. They're very, first of all, like anyone else, they're interested in unique people.
Mm-hmm.
Which, the average person thinks they're above average. So I find that interesting.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's just that they might need a friend. That's what I learned in dealing with needy people. You do have to draw boundaries. So I was friends with this one kid who was needy at camp, and I was like, you know what? I'll hang out with him. I'll let him tag along with whatever I did. He was an insecure kid who didn't want to, do anything. Yeah, so many things where he was like, I don't know about that. And there was a couple of times where he goes, oh, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I want to go get a coffee. He goes, oh, well, do you want to go over here? I was like, well, if you want to go over there, you can. But I'm going to go get a coffee. He's like, oh, okay. And so every once in a while, you have to draw healthy boundaries. You can't just because otherwise they become those adults who just monopolize on your time and
Yes.
never
Yep.
stop talking to you. And I know people like that, and so they need to grow out of that. But I will say the kid I'm talking about, the next year he was just completely different and more socially adapt. So, and I feel like me and a couple of his other friends that I know had a part in that.
Yeah. Spending time with somebody like that, not giving them all your time, all your attention, but actually spending time with them, actually keeping calm in talking with them. That talking with somebody like that falls kind of under the same rules of talking to somebody that you don't like who likes you, who doesn't realize that you don't like them. That's kind of, you
Okay.
kind of want to take some of those rules and applying with talking to them, because to them, or to you, this person is kind of annoying.
Yep.
But really,
Even though you are fully aware that they've done nothing wrong.
yes,
Yep.
yep. So, but really spending a little bit of time with them, kind of maybe giving a little advice and stuff like
Yep.
that here and there when you see an opportunity. That's something that could really actually help them grow out of that annoying person that they are to somebody who you enjoy being around and everybody else enjoys being around, and at that point they've got enough friends that they're not going to try to just be that needy, clingy person all the time.
And one thing that not it wow, my voice, my brain's decided to stop working. My tongue kept moving. One thing is that not that it really is here nor there, but if you actually invest in someone like that, they will easily be influenced by you.
Yeah.
And that can be a problem sometimes if you're not careful. But I'm shedding a good light on it in that means you can start teaching them, hey, probably shouldn't do that, or this is not really, in this situation, that's kind of, like there was a couple of different times where it was like, okay, that was awkward. With a bunch of different people where it's like, okay, that's awkward. I wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, okay. They just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so you actually, when you decide to be friends with people that are clingy, it's usually because they don't have friends. And you get to be that friend. And a lot of times, because of you, they're able to grow up and adjust. And so, don't ever just blow them off. Don't ever just just ignore them, because you could be the reason they succeed in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that covers everything.
That really is.
Yeah.
That was a good cursory overview of just practical ways to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
I think if me and you hadn't have learned that from people older than us, which is, that's 90% of the time.
Yeah.
If we hadn't learned that, and the times we don't apply it, it comes back to bite you.
Yes.
But when you do apply it, it helps your life a lot. I know I'm a lot more calm and a lot less upset, and I can go places. There's certain places I used to go where I was just like tense, and I was like, are they gonna bring this up or whatever? Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, oh, hello, random person who I'm casually friends with,
Yeah.
So, with that out of the way, Andrew.
Silas.
What's making you happy?
I had to think about that, actually. I was thinking about it today, trying to think of what's making me happy. I'd have to say that for me, I'm not a person that gets overly happy about stuff.
That's true. That's true.
But let's see. I guess I do have a couple things. One thing is actually work, surprisingly. It's just been really nice. It's been a nice slow pace for me. It's been nice to just kind of have calm work.
Yeah, especially having
weeks.
done 4-inch and 5-inch.
Yeah, 5-inch is coming back again. But anyway, it's just that's been nice. I've been kind of happy about that. Another thing was my grandma's birthday is tomorrow.
Ooh,
So we got together last night to kind of celebrate, 'cause tomorrow's Wednesday, church and all that. And I have a new deck of cards I just got recently, and me and my grandma love playing with cards, playing like speed and stuff like that. So we pulled out this new deck. I was like, Grandma, I've got a new deck of cards we gotta try. And pull it out, and just they're brand new, but right out of the box even, they're nice. They've kind of got
so
that.
They feel like they're broken in already.
They feel like they're broken, but they're brand new. That was just like me and her both are just like, wow, it's so nice, you know, trying to play speed and at the same time just be like, I love these cards. And so, yeah, I'd say those are the things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Today.
For me, actually, I already mentioned it, and I was like, oh, wait, hold up. But it was the Saturday. That was really nice, because I was going to go to a cafe in Green Bay, because I'm way closer to Green Bay. It's only like another 20 minutes to Appleton, but still, 20 minutes is 20 minutes. And with the price of gas, it's about, down payment on a house.
Technically, it's nearly $10, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I saw a really nice cafe in Appleton. I was like, okay. You know what? Because I had nothing going on Saturday, and I just needed a day to reset. I needed a day to go, all right, you know what? We're going to just reset. I went to a coffee shop, got a latte. Delicious. And also got scones and macarons. I stayed there from, 9 till noon.
Nice.
And I had my laptop and headphones, and I was just doing stuff on there. And I was ordering equipment for new sound upgrades that are actually coming to this podcast. But then, on top of that, then I went to a cafe that had really good food, because they really didn't have much in the way of food at the coffee shop. And their food was good. And I bought another latte. And it was very good. And then after that, I was going to go to the Crumble Cookie in Appleton, because for the longest time, you want Crumble Cookie, you gotta go to Appleton. Also, if you've never gone,
it's worth the one time.
It's worth the one time. If you go multiple times, you're going to go broke.
Yes.
But you have to at least go once to Crumble Cookie. It's wonderful. But then I actually found out there was one that had opened the day before in Green Bay.
Oh, they're opened?
Yes. Yeah. So I actually went to that one instead, because it wasn't out of the way. It was right on the way.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So I got cookies, and they were delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
nice.
that's basically it. That was what made me happy. It was a nice reset, nice recharge, and so yeah. I don't think there's anything else to add, except next week. Are we having a guest on next week?
Next week, at the moment, our plan is to talk with Elizabeth about the stuff we're talking about.
Well, we can.
Okay,
I guess we'll tell him.
We're planning on talking with Elizabeth about social media.
And
just
that's a topic that
everyone could cover a few episodes if we wanted.
Honestly, we might have to split it.
We might.
There's a lot there's a lot to cover in that.
We'll try to cover some basics and try to cover
Yeah,
the basics.
so you can
and
have
some
one episode to just hear it all, but there might be more offshoots from that. Maybe not. We'll see.
We'll see. Either
Either way, I will see you next week, 7:00 sharp. Thank you for watching the Odd Unicorn. Wow, my tongue is very not. Producer, can you stop it for me? I can't see.